So to be friends with them later on, shout to Maceo, rest in peace, Dave. This one's special, man. Round trip.
Let's get it.
Static Selector.
Are you listening?
Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you
is the new Twitter, and it's from Instagram, okay? And speaking of threads, there's been a lot of talk this season about, teams wearing their old school uniforms, for a week or two throughout the season. What do you want to see the Atlanta Falcons wear some throwbacks this season, or what? Which ones you want to pull out this year?
Yeah, so we wear the throwbacks maybe like twice a year, maybe 3 times. The black with the red helmet we did this past season, which was cool. If we do the red helmet again, I'd like to see us bring out the red throwback jerseys. I think that'd be dope.
Which is light for a guy of his caliber, right? And so you give him a mulligan on this year, get himself back right. But I believe if you don't trade him, then you pick up the option to trade him in all season. I think the Dodgers will be a team for me that could take on a guy like Tim Anderson and see what he does. And he's not going to disrupt the clubhouse. No, he'll be a guy to come in and help you out if he gets hot in the second half.
And too good a player. Like, it's shocking to see his numbers from just a couple of years ago. 309, 806. This has been a down year.
I'm punting this year.
Yeah.
And sometimes you punt a season because guys, we better start realizing the personal side of things can derail you from being a great player. So he gets his head back on straight. I talked to him a little bit. He's in a good place
on ESPN Radio. If you're Giannis saying, "Wait, I was back-to-back MVP. I won NBA Finals MVP. I'm a world champion. I have my contract extension coming up." Like, who are you surrounding me with? Kyle Kuzma? Like, what moves are we making now to keep me in there? You have one.
Deserve the best. With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritize customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
When we played here the first time 30 years ago, this place was huge. Just the monsters in your head.
Dave Matthews returned to Irving Plaza in New York with a live acoustic performance for his exclusive SiriusXM channel, Dave Matthews Band Radio.
It was great. It was intimate.
Super special getting to see him in such a small crowd. Dave Matthews Live and Acoustic. Watch the concert film now in the SXM app. Free with all trials and popular plans. Just search Dave.
Let's do it. A classic hip-hop channel like no other.
Hey, yo, you got the RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan.
It's your homie Ice Cube.
Yo, this is the Queen Latifah.
It's your boy Busta Rhymes. What up, though? It's your boy Big Snoop Dogg. Curated by the greatest. Real hip-hop fans that love hip-hop music. This is for you. LL Cool J's Rock the Bells Radio. Channel 43. To hear LL Cool J's Rock the Bells Radio, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go. Yo, the movement has already begun. Where are you?
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
carry the prestige of Wimbledon.
Novak Djokovic arms aloft. It's a magnificent seventh Wimbledon title.
The best tennis players in the world take to the grass of the All England Club in London with the hopes of joining legends of the sport as Wimbledon champions.
Serena Williams, the seventh Wimbledon title. Simply superb.
SiriusXM's coverage, courtesy of ESPN, starts each morning at 4 Eastern and continues through the end of play each match day. Hear it all on ESPN Extra, Channel 81, and the SXM app.
Catch every Major League Baseball game on SiriusXM. Finding your hometown broadcast on the SXM app is easy. Just click the favorite star and listen all season long. Showtime! MLB Network Radio is your home plate for baseball conversation and expert analysis. To listen to MLB Network Radio, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
Rondo Deportes, Banjo, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Jarvin of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe, and that would be you too. Was a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my? Won't you be my? Won't you be my neighbor? Turn all that music down. People complaining, and that's how I felt. They complaining about my singing. I complain about those fireworks sounding like lightning striking. All said, #1. What a beautiful day, July the 14th, 2023. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers. We all knew Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit you where the good Lord splits you. If that makes sense to you, really do appreciate Big C Sports Podcast. I tell you what, a great day. It's going to be about 1 million degrees in Denver Hills, California. Make sure you drink lots of water. I remember when I was a young boy, I used to drink water hose water. And one day I was watering the front of the house, and it had pretty flowers. And this one young girl came riding by on a bicycle, looking all cute, and she saw me drinking out of the water hose. She said, "Ooh, that's nasty." I said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" She said, "You're drinking out of the water hose." I said, "That's the best water you can get. Get that some breeze. That water hose water is the best water you can get." I got a friend of mine said he drinks from the river. Oh, Lord have mercy. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast on 27 podcast applications all over the universe. You can follow us on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Pick a Podcast, Apple Podcast, oh my goodness, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, a Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser. You know, you ever want to chase somebody around, you can also find Big C Sports Podcast on GeoSavan out of London, England, as well as India and Africa. You can find Big C Sports Podcast on Podtail. You ever have some oxtail? Kind of tastes like Podtail. You can also find us on Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, Good Pods Podcast, Podcast Podyssey, Podcast Republic, and the only one that used to scare me, but now it doesn't. And then there's another application that we'll be joining to carry Big C Sports Podcast by the end of July. You want to give that some praise. That means we're growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. I want to give that praise. Really love giving God praise. What a lot of praise. I have a new word. It's called meditating. Meditate is when you manifest and you meditate. Give meditating some praise. All good level one. All good level one. I really want to say what I love saying when I do Big C Sports Podcast because I love it. You can love something, and when it loves you back, it's amazing. It's like loving the 9 series DNA, the most beautiful DNA in the history of the universe. Amazing. My show is not like the others. You're not like the other, Curry. Number one, I have no producer in my ear. I have no teleprompters, no 3-minute teleprompters. I have no research staff. I don't have 9 runners running me information. I just really do appreciate God allowing me to do my thing. And I always, number 1, produce. Number 2, I always direct the topics. Number 3, I broadcast all the shows. Number 4, I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. And then the commercials are done. And unlike any other show in the universe, all of my commercials are done before I start talking. When I start talking, I don't stop. I don't stop. I keep going and going and going. You think that's easy? Try it sometimes, if that makes sense to you. And then, I'm telling you, the stats are provided. The storytelling is where I do a lot of yelling. Because I got to get your attention. You know, I learned to yell when we had a dog. And that dog wouldn't do anything but eat and poop. And oftentimes, when he went to poop, he'd just look at you and go outside. And he found his little spot and he'd poop. And then when it's time to eat, you didn't have to ask him. He would always just walk over and look at you with those sad eyes. And you put that bowl of dog food down, that puppy chow, and he would tear that food up. But then when you say, Duke, come outside and help me fetch the ball. Duke look at you like, is it time to eat? Why you call me? Fetch your own ball. All's fair and level where I tell those stories. I do the play-by-play. I'm going to do tonight Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings, runners on first and third. The counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, deep, left field, back to the wall, a home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. If that makes sense to you, tell them that is human nature. And then the show's uploaded to 27 multiple podcast platforms out of New York City. About to be 28 platforms. Praise God for that. I said, give God some praise. Praise God for that. And then I'm on 4 TV platforms. Never missed a show since creating Big C Sports back in the day with the crew back at Salem Media. It's also streaming. I'm not Jamaican. I'm black. I come from the 9 series DNA. My show is also streaming on television. Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. You can get that some praise. 28 podcast platforms, and then 4 TV platforms, soon to be a 5th TV platform for Big C Sports. That means it's growing. I want to give God praise because I know a lot of brethren, they got laid off because Massa said, enough! Massa said enough, and they had to go. They just had to go. Hopefully they'll take that as an opportunity to plant their own garden in their own yard this time instead of going to Massa's house and making his garden fruitful. I want to say thank you to all of our veterans. In fact, I met a Marine today. I said, thank you for your service. And he said, thank you for doing Big C Sports. We both gave each other some praise. If that makes sense to you. The Veterans Crisis Hotline, they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. If you know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone. Call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. If you think about this, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give us a praise because we all need somebody to lean on. Now, I told that veteran, I said, have you heard of the Veterans Crisis Hotline? He said, no, what is that? And I said, call 800-273-8255 if you know anybody going through, having issues. You know, people go to war and they have to see some things that a lot of people never have to see in their lives. And it's good to have some help. There are people who will help you, but you got to reach out. That's why I've been doing for the last 4 years now with the Big C Sports Podcast. I always give out the Veterans Crisis Hotline because everybody needs someone to lean on sometimes. And they do a great job giving somebody something to lean on, if that makes sense to you. I also want to say, now this is not backed by popular demand. It's called the sports betting because they tell you they come with substantial risk. Now, how many of you gals and girls on those internet dating sites in Dim Deer Hills, and you get on a guy's profile or a lady's profile, you swiping left, you don't see what you like, so then you start swiping right. You still don't see what you like. But what if you came up on a sign, you said, whoop, there it is. That's the one I gotta have. If the song started playing, she's a bad man, madama, just as fine as she can be. Say it one more time, she's a bad man, pajama, or he's a bad man, pajama. And then under his profile, it said, I come with substantial risk. How many people would date that person? Give that some praise if you would say no. But people say, I would never date somebody that said I come with substantial risk. Really? Then why is the gaming industry growing so much? Why is it they're trying to put gaming in kindergarten? Kid can't even spell his name. And you can bet on the game. They're trying to get, you think I'm joking? They're trying to get kindergarten to bet. They're trying to get gaming into kindergartens. Oh, Curry, I don't believe that. Yeah, they are. You know why? Because kindergartens, they normally get money from their parents to feed them. If they can't get money from the parents, then they have a program where the school will feed them maybe a peanut butter jelly sandwich or a cracker with some salt on it or a couple of carrots. But why can't some of the parents put enough food on the table for the kids, for the kindergartners? Because some people have a gambling problem. And it's not the people you think. These are people with 9 to 5s, and they look like everybody else, but sometimes they get caught up thinking they're gonna take half their paycheck and win the big game. That's why they tell you 800 gambler, they come with substantial risk. You got a good old boy called ring, 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 ring. Hello, hey, hello, hello, hello. I said, hello. How can I? Is this Carlton? Who? Is this Carlton? I said, yeah, this is Carlton. Hey, Carlton, you lucky you answered the phone. I said, I'm lucky I answered the phone. What's going on? He said, you know what? I gotta help you win the big game tonight. You know, baseball had the All-Star game, and it was amazing. They were hitting deep right field back to the wall. But you know, tonight they're getting all the teams started again, and you know, I know the winning teams that are gonna win tonight, Curry. I said, the winning teams. I said, well, what I gotta do to get in on the fun? He said, all you gotta do is put up some money. He said, how much you want to put up, Curry? I said, man, you know all the right teams to pick. He said, yes. My guy's been doing it a long time. I said, well, let me put up $250. He said, damn, you a big baller shot going. I said, yeah, I can put up $250. I can put up $250. And he said, hold on. He yelled back to his crew. He said, this guy, he want to put up $250,000 on the big game. I said, no, sir. I said, I want to put up $2.50. He called me a smart aleck. He said, you, sir, are a smart aleck. I told you the minimum is $100. He told me I was a smart aleck because I wanted to bet $2.50. Well, that's how I won the lotto tonight. I put up $2 on Mega Million. I won $560 million. Get that some praise. And the lotto wasn't kept looking for me just because I missed on the Powerball last week. But Mega Millions is mine. It's the 9 series DNA. It's like 5. It's like 516. Give 516 some praise. $560 million. All fair and never work. You can't win unless you play. I want to say, be careful if you're giving strangers your money. That money's not insured. If it's gone, it's gone. You know they don't call you to see if you need money. They always see if they can suck money out of your wallet. And some of you good boys, they let them suck. You ever had somebody suck you dry? Double entendre could be a good thing, but it could also be a bad thing when someone's sucking you dry. Those gaming companies, they want to suck you all right, but they want to suck all the money out of your wallet like a vacuum sucking out dirt. Don't let it happen to you. If that makes sense to you, I know some people are already in over their head. I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. Who would rob God of reparations to the original people on the planet? Well, some people do. The United States Senate, 1862, they issued what's called the Homestead Act. It gave white Americans and white Europeans over 276 million acres of land. But you couldn't be black. You had to be white. And they talk about, we don't want to get no reparations. You already did. They already paid reparations. And now it's time for black folks to get our reparations. It's time. It's like there's a great entertainer that I usually listen to him when I'm in the shower. It's called Turn Off the Lights. Give me some praise. Come on. And light a candle. Come on, y'all. Dun, 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 dun. You see, I'm in a romantic mood. Yeah. He said, turn off the lights. Ding, and come closer. You see, there's something I want to do to you, baby. And that's when Teddy Pendergrass said that. And rumor has it, when Teddy sang that song, when it was number one, more babies in the history of the universe were born at that time when Turn Up the Lights was number one. And now I understand. I was turning off my lights, and he wasn't even talking to me. But it makes sense to him, if that makes sense to him. I also want to say to you good boys out there, I love talking about give credit where credit's due. Doing some work with the National Black Wall Street Project, and the goal is to make millionaires. And it's a fact. There's so many great similar moments that have happened in our history, and sometimes we miss the boat. And we're not going to miss the boat this time. Give not missing the boat this time some praise. We got to give it praise. I also want to thank the Associated Press, Jamie Hard. What an amazing story she wrote on March 29, 2023. She called only one podcaster in the history of the universe. I happened to be meditating when she called me at that time. What, meditating? That's when meditation meets manifestation. It's called a manifestation. But she called me and asked me my thoughts on reparations. Ooh, I just had an epiphany. And I said, reparations now! Reparations forever! She said, I haven't even got to the question yet. I said, that's still the answer. Don't be shucking and jiving. But reparations now. Reparations forever. She also mentioned President Biden, also Vice President Kamala Harris, as well as California Governor Gavin Newsom. And then she mentioned California Task Force Chair Camila Moore. I'm going to talk more about that. But she asked a sportscaster my thoughts on reparations. She didn't call the ESPYs and ask any of those guys shucking and jiving their thoughts on reparations. They were too busy saying, hey, I got some good news for all of y'all. You know, a lot of y'all wonder if I'm going to retire or not. Well, the answer is good news for you guys. I'm not going to retire. As if that was breaking news. And reparations been talking about all over the universe. But when it came to our beautiful, intelligent black athletes, some of those guys have been like brainwashed. I mean, I know there's some people that have the balls to talk about it. You got to play with the balls in this life. You got to have more balls than just the football, basketball, and baseball. But some guys, what does Scarface say? Tony Montana said, all I got in this world is my word and my balls. And I don't compromise for nobody. But some of our tough athletes, our big, strong, multi-million-dollar athletes, will stand up in front of the whole television station and an award show. And they won't even talk about the same thing that the governor of California, the great Gavin Newsom, had talked about. But they talk about playing football, basketball, and baseball, and how great they are, doing nothing for nobody but themselves. And that's a shame. We talk about the talented 10th. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote that book, The Talented 10th, and the Souls of Black Folks. A lot of times, people just act like, oh yeah, I read that book. But when they get the chance to put the microphone in front of their mouth, they don't do what I did when the Associated Press called Charlton Curry of Big C Sports. She didn't call the ship that just fired everybody. She says, what are your thoughts on reparations? I said, reparations now, reparations forever. I didn't shut the jive. She said, well, I haven't even asked you the question yet. I said, I can read your mind. It's reparations. Just like I want people to Google the Survivors Today Act of 2017, the Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act of 2017 is United States legislation that requires the State Department to report to Congress on steps that 47 countries in Europe have taken to compensate Holocaust survivors and their heirs for assets seized by Nazi Germany and post-war communist governments. It was black soldiers that helped in Hitler's reign. And when they came back, they didn't even get the GI Bill from the United States. White guys get it. I know we don't have a race problem in the United States. It just by accident, all the white soldiers got the GI Bill and all the black soldiers got hosed. They were told, pull yourself up by your bootstrap and lift every voice and sing. They didn't tell that to the white soldiers. They said, here's your GI Bill. Even rebuilding Europe. United Nations, United States, France, and Germany helped rebuild Europe after the war. And now people go to Europe on vacation. They didn't do it for black folks. Black folks helped. They helped fight every war this country's ever had. Even United Nations Human Rights Chief calls for reparations. And I'm just trying to find a few good people, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Native American, Japanese American to stomp for reparations. I'm going to have a clarion call. I just had an epiphany today because I believe there's a lot of good brethren that own sports teams in the United States. I believe there's a lot of good corporations that support reparations, just like when South Africa had the apartheid and people started protesting South Africa and companies pulled out. I'm asking the United States, if you don't support reparations publicly, don't shop at their stores, don't buy their cars, don't buy their food, don't go see their sports teams, don't listen to their music, and that's true. And you got to give that some praise. If you did for South Africa, do it for the United States of America. I love praising the California Reparations Task Force. They had a great meeting. It was Thursday, June 29th, 2023, at 9 o'clock a.m. at the March Fonge Youth Secretary of the State Building in Dimdale Hills, California, otherwise known as the state capital of Sacramento. And I'm so proud of it because it was a seminal moment. And I kind of have egg on my face because I was telling so many people that when they had the ESPYs, I said that our black athletes that getting praised for playing with balls, I said they're going to have the same balls to talk about reparations. Some of them that helped every one of their ancestry and their children and future grandchildren. I said they're going to have the balls to talk about it the same way they talk about, man, did you see me play? Did you see how hard I hit that dude? You see how far I threw that ball? You see how far I was when I shot that three? I was telling people they're going to talk about it because a white man did it. A white man talked about it. In fact, he issued a mandate to study reparations. And I knew that our black brethren were going to get up on that stage at the ESPYs and at least have the balls to say what Governor Gavin Newsom did. And what Charlton Curry of Big C Sports said when he was called by the Associated Press. I said, reparations now, reparations forever, get us some praise. But none of them did. I want to praise the task force, the first one of its kind in the history of the United States in California. Camila Moore, chair, brilliant. She's an attorney. She looks like she's 20 years old. I think she's 30. Dr. Amos C. Brown, vice chair, brilliant. The best senator in the United States of America, Senator Stephen Bradford, who's responsible for name, image, and likeness. That's why a lot of college athletes are getting paid, because that beautiful, intelligent, erudite black man, he's championing that cause. And he's part of the Reparations Task Force and help a family get money back in Los Angeles, in Huntington Beach. When some people are saying, oh, it's not going to happen. And it's already happened, like they were sleeping and watching some game. Council member Monica Montgomery Steppe, brilliant. Assembly member Reginald Jones Sawyer, brilliant. Dr. Shell Grillis, brilliant. Lisa Holder, brilliant. Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at Cal Berkeley, brilliant. Donald K. Tamaki, brilliant. Japanese American that already got reparations. Give that some praise. Only Big C Sports page homage to people that really are there to help other people who were robbed. I know you want to watch the game, but that's part of why we have this problem. When you had the most seminal moment in sports called the ESPYs, is to give praise to people who play with balls. You ever know any men play with balls for a living? We give them praise. Everybody plays with something, but don't play with the truth. I had egg on my face because I was telling some people that a lot of these great athletes that have been put on a pedestal, they're going to champion reparations the same way they champion Black Lives Matter. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee and all he was saying to stop killing black kids, and the white media, they turned on him. You would have thought he was saying something egregious, like stop killing black kids, and he lost his job and he lost his sponsorship because he said stop killing black kids. That cost a man his job because he said stop killing black kids? Because he took a knee? And there were people in media, mostly white, saying, I'll not tolerate this man taking a knee, disrespecting the flag. They said they wouldn't tolerate it. Now imagine talking to Jesus, and Jesus said, "Thou shalt not kill." And people praise Jesus. They even wear the cross on their neck. Some even go to church. In one of the commandments, "Thou shalt not kill." But when Colin Kaepernick, when he took a knee and said, "Stop killing black kids," mainstream he lost his job. He lost his sponsorship. People hated him. Why? What kind of person would hate a man for saying stop killing black kids? But he lost, not only did he lose his sponsorship, he lost his NFL job, but then you had many broadcasters, white for the most part, they were saying, "I don't believe in what he said. How dare he not stand for the flag?" And a lot of those guys, they didn't fight for this country. They didn't go to war. They went to some school based on their daddy, some type of legacy, or maybe they got a scholarship to play a sport. And then when this man said stop killing black people, people treated him like he was the worst person in the history of the NFL. You've had guys that have done so many heinous acts, and they punish them for a year or a couple of games, and they put them back on the field. Colin Kaepernick didn't do that. Not at all. You got men that have beaten the crap out of women, and they take them off for a year and let them play again. But you say stop killing black people, you lose your job. What kind of league are we representing? The task force recommends major reparations. It's an 1,100-page report that should be given to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, because he says he doesn't believe that we should pay reparations for something that we stole over 150 years ago. I hope he reads the task force. 1,100-page report. It provides recommendations for lawmakers, even the evil ones. And that man is wicked, and he knows it, and so does God. How do you not even want to look at the damages that was done to an entire people? And he's sitting on blood money with unclean hands. He had slave owners in his family on both sides. Why? How does a wicked person get a position like that? We don't believe we should pay reparations for something we stole 150 years ago. We used that land. We farmed that land. We've gotten loans on that land. We built properties on that land. We've gone to the bank and made ourselves wealthier because of that land. How dare we give it back? Why don't you guys just shut up and dribble? That man is wicked. And he knows it, and so does God. But he can atone. And I believe he will. I believe he will. Because it's the right thing to do. When the United Nations calls for reparations for our descendants of chattel slavery, like our Jewish brethren, and everybody gave them praise, give us praise too. Either lead, follow, get out of the way, get the wicked people out of politics. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got a lot of things to talk about because I love what I'm doing with Big C Sports, but don't think it's easy. Because I took crap from, starting out, I took some crap from some people. "Oh, Curry, you talk too much about politics." From people that I actually like. And I'm one of the top shows in the world when it comes to sports podcasting. I got the numbers to back it up. There's something that I live by, and I want to encourage all young men, as they're going to become more involved in the National Black Wall Street Project, helping create millionaires. And I'm asking all decent people, if you're not decent, I'm not talking to you. But all of us can look at this. There's a parable in the Bible called the talents. It's in Matthew 25, verse 14 through 30. It tells of a master who was leaving his house to travel. And before leaving his house, he entrusted his property to his servants, according to the abilities of each man. Like I'm telling you, sponsors, I'm looking for $6 billion. And I mean that. I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man. I speak with my higher self. I know my stuff. I know the right answers. And everything I say, I ask you to Google it. I'm asking you to Google what I say. So if I'm wrong, you can correct me. But because I speak the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God, I'm not perfect, but I'm pretty accurate. So back to the Bible. He entrusted his property to his servants according to the abilities of each man. And one servant received 5 talents. And he was given 5 talents. Like a lot of our sports brethren that get those $100 million contracts. The second servant, he received 2 talents. Like a lot of our athletes, maybe they're not the most popular athletes or highest paid, or entertainers, movie stars making $20 million a year. Maybe they're making $5 million on a movie. And then the third one, he only gave 1 talent. So when the man came back to check on the people that he entrusted his talent with, like I believe that God puts us, he gives us the ability to be who we really are, down to the core. In all my life, I wanted to do what I'm doing now. I've torn up many radio players when I was growing up, wondering how they get those people inside of them. And now the fact that I have the ability to do the same thing, I've torn up record players trying to see how do they get people inside of there. When I was like 4 years old, 5. But I believe that we owe ourselves, and anybody else listening, in the universe, the chance to research what we say. The reason a mouse will roam around the house at nighttime is because they're afraid of the light. You turn the light on, they scatter. They like to roam around when it's dark because they can see at nighttime. But when you do what I do, it's exposed to everybody. You can Google everything I say. You can say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just talking. But if I ask you to Google it, it's like taking an exam and you don't know if you passed the exam or not. You stand up in front of the whole class of 100 people and the teacher asks you the question. And they ask you the answer to the question. And in front of the whole class, they ask you, what's the answer, Curry? What's the answer to that question, Curry? And I'm standing up in front of 100 people, not knowing if I have the answers right or wrong. How do you feel? It's not easy, especially when people want to throw darts at you, just for telling them to Google something. It's like the men who received the talents. So the first one that got the 1 talent, he said, well, Master, I was kind of scared. You know, it's a strange new world out there. And I didn't know what to do, but I invested some. You know, I took it and I invested some, and I tried to make it the most of it. I did the best I could. And the master was pleased with him. And then he went to the man that got the 2 talents, or received 2 talents. He said, well, Master, it was kind of frightening out there, and it's kind of strange new world. All these internets floating around. People telling me go left. People telling me go right. People saying to vote Democrat, vote Republican, vote Independent. I was kind of nervous, Lord. But I did the best I could, and I actually made a little bit of profit. And the master said, okay, well, I'm proud of you. Good job. And then he went to the ones that he gave the $100 million contracts to and gave them 5 talents. And they got on the ESPYs and they said nothing about reparations. Nothing. Like those mice that run around in the dark, they're afraid of the light. But these guys were on stage and they had a chance to say something that would have been the most seminal moment, the most clarion call that's happening in the history of the United States for black Americans. It's called reparations. And some of our guys given 5 talents, they said nothing. I know a lot of you are wondering if I'm going to be retiring or not. I got good news for you. I'm not retiring. In a state where a white man signed a mandate to study reparations. And some of our most celebrated black men and women, hashtag Oscar so white in Hollywood, and now they're on strike. They say nothing. The only thing separating that gap between the white wealth and black poverty is Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19. It says, a feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answers all things. Give that some praise. And here I am, Big C Sports, been given the one talent. I do the show by myself. I don't have four guys sitting around the microphone saying who's on first, who's on second. I do it with God as my higher self. I meditate. Meditate? That's not a word. Yes, it is. Manifestation when it meets meditation. It's been creating miracles in my life ever since I heard the voice of an angel. About 30 days ago, all I did was hear the voice of an angel with the 9 series DNA. I've been meditating and things are opening up. It's amazing. And it's the God's truth. And I thank God. I want to give God praise for that. So I want to tell people, no matter what you think of me or anybody else, find your clarion call. Find your clarion call. On my tombstone, I wanted to say the world's best father and the world's best broadcaster. Give that some praise. Doesn't matter what anybody says, because there are sometimes you would think people are going to support you because you're brilliant, but actually they hate it. Now, if you're shucking and jiving, then they'll praise you then. But when you start speaking the truth on things, some people that are supposed to love you, they'll turn their back on you. It's weird. I mean, they killed Jesus. Who am I? I'm not Jesus. Jesus wasn't killed by strangers. I want to talk about some things that I love doing because it's the way I get down. I want to give that some praise. Everybody give praise to whatever you want to be in life, because the only thing stopping you is that person in the mirror. What did Two Live Crew say? I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Yeah, I'm asking him to change his ways. That's not Two Live Crew. That's Michael Jackson, you fool. Well, sometimes you couldn't tell the difference, but you understand the story. You got to look at the person in the mirror, whether it's Two Live Crew or Michael Jackson that said it. It's a fact. Major League Baseball. It's time to get back in action. Today's Friday's game. I have runners on first and third. They count full the pitch. Curveball swung on in deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Okay. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. That's the way I was told. That's the way the story goes, and everybody has their own thoughts about Major League Baseball. I know it used to be America's favorite pastime. It may not be America's favorite pastime anymore, but there are a lot of people making a lot of money with Major League Baseball, just wondering if they're going to find success. Give baseball success, because the ratings were actually down on the All-Star game. The ratings were actually down on the All-Star game. Why is that? I think because Major League Baseball has done a poor job of letting people watch their product. You almost got to have an app just to watch your favorite team. Now Major League Baseball is making the mistake of having Oakland leave from California to Las Vegas. To leave the number 4 market in the country to the number 40 market in the country. It's new at first. Everything's good when it's first new. Those shoes are donated to the Goodwill. At one time they were new. But now they got older. Now they're a donation. Everybody loves a new team when it comes to town. But then when you don't put money behind it, the product's not that great. If they don't put money behind it in Las Vegas, it's going to be the same thing. So the Major League Baseball All-Star break is over, and now the players and the teams are back in the arenas around the country, the stadiums. And when I look at what I love about baseball, it's a game that little kids can play in the backyard like I did. You don't know how many times we hit the ball over the fence and bounced up and hit the neighbor's wall. And every now and then we broke a window, and then my brothers and I, we run. But they always found out who did it. But at the same time, the batting average is up. The runs per game are up. My brother built a pitching mound in the backyard, and it was a real pitching mound, and all of us made all-stars, but we got the chance to practice a lot. And baseball, we didn't have to join some type of a club. We didn't have to join some type of an organization. We didn't have to do that. It was free. All we needed was some of my brother's shoes for first base, second base, and third base. And then one of my other brothers, we used his shirt for home plate. And, we just did what we had to do. We had fun. So I just encourage more kids to play baseball. Batting average is up. Runs per game are up. Attendance is up. The average time of the game has dropped significantly. It appears to be working with the general public. Now, the attendance is up about 8% year over year. There have been 4 straight weekends of over 1.5 million in attendance. The first time that's happened since 2017, and I think because of the pitch clock. Now, Major League Baseball TV is up 9% on minutes watched over last season. Local ratings of the 29 United States-based teams, they're up 3%, despite all the issues with local channels. And Major League Baseball survey found that 86% of the people in 18 to 24 range and 25 to 34 range, they said that they are more likely to watch Major League Baseball now due to the rule changes, with similar numbers on them being more likely to attend games because the game is a little bit faster now. So that's what I love about it. I love that baseball can change. This new blood right now, the Cincinnati Reds, they sit in first place in the National League Central, have not made the playoffs in a full season since 2013. The Marlins, they hold the top spot in the National League wildcard spot and have not made the full season in playoffs since 2003. The Diamondbacks to be a strong contender, and they are tied for first in the National League West, even though I think the Dodgers will overtake them. And even fewer expected the Texas Rangers to sit in first place above the defending champions, but they're there. And then you have the Baltimore Orioles in Camden Yards. They're a really strong team, have not been to the playoffs since 2016. Big-time name brands, that's helpful too, to have the Atlanta Braves down in Stone Mountain, Georgia. They won it all in 2021. They won 100-plus games last season. They look better. They're looking good right now. I mean, if they can stay healthy, they're going to make some noise. At the same time, the LA Dodgers, I believe they won 11 of the last 12 National League West titles. They're tied for first place. The Houston Astros, defending World Series champion with the great Dusty Baker, Northern California's finest, out of Del Campo High School and also American River College. They are again in great playoff position. Dusty was the manager for the AL in the All-Star game. We just saw that up in Seattle. The New York Yankees, win. They're only a game out of last in the AL wild card. And the Boston Red Sox at Great Fenway Park up in Boston, where they love the Kamchatka. The defending National League champion Philadelphia Phillies, the city of brotherly love where they boo Santa Claus. And the Giants come to town. It's bye, baby. The ballpark that Barry Bonds built at McCovey Cove, they're in playoff position. And when you think about it, there's a lot of great storylines coming to baseball. Think about it. You got the Yankees and Dodgers, the Astros. You got the Giants making the noise, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Atlanta Braves, Houston Astros, of course. And then there's always hype in the preseason, but then disappointment when the season gets along. The New York Mets, San Diego Padres. There's all kind of intrigue about who the Angels are going to get rid of, who they're going to sell, or what they're going to do with the great Shohei Ohtani. I think he'd look great in Dodger blue, if that makes sense to you. But everybody has their own thoughts about what's going on in the world of baseball. And then I feel that the A's leaving the Bay Area for Las Vegas, I think that's the worst thing that could happen for Major League Baseball. But they're going to go. And Commissioner Maverick made it easier for them to leave. They could have put some effort behind building a stadium in Oakland the same way they're going to do it in Las Vegas. It's going to be 100 million degrees in Northern California over the weekend. 100 million degrees? It's going to be hot as hell. Okay, not 100 million, but it's just an example, okay? And they're telling people, stay safe, drink lots of water, stay out of the sunlight. I know they're going to build a dome stadium in Las Vegas, but you got the fresh Bay Area breeze in the Bay Area. And they're going to leave that for 115-degree temperature in Las Vegas? But they play inside of a dome. You can't get to the stadium in the dome. You got to get outside sometime. But they could have kept them here. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And now, fighting for Big C's Major League Baseball Top 10. It's my opinion, and everybody has one. I'm going to start with number 10, the Boston Red Sox. You got James Paxton and Brian Bello are a very nice 1-2 punch in the rotation right now. It's just like everyone drew it up. There's something about that great ballpark called Fenway Park in Boston, and it's the only ballpark that you can still smell urine from the early 1900s, if that makes sense to you. But they cover it up with clam chowder spray. It smells like clam chowder spray, but I do like when the Red Sox are winning, if that makes sense to you. And number 9 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings, I got the Philadelphia Phillies, the great Kyle Schwarber. He's hitting only 184. 184? He has 22 bombs. The only player to ever top 30 homers with a sub-200 batting average are Joey Gallo. He batted 199, had 38 home runs in 2021. Eugenio Suarez batted 198 with 31 home runs in 2021. And the great Mark Reynolds, he batted 198 with 32 home runs in 2010. And the Phillies are hanging in there, and they got a lot going for them in the city of brotherly love. I got number 8 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. I got the defending World Series champion, the Houston Astros, led by the great skipper, the great Dusty Baker. Can a team in the second half of the season, in the second wild card spot, be a sleeping giant? Because they really feel like a sleeping giant. When you have the pitching that the Houston Astros have, and they won the World Series last year, and Dusty Baker, he knows more baseball. He's gotten more baseball out of that toothpick that he's always chewing on than a lot of people have in their lifetime. So that skipper will get them back in the saddle, and I believe they're going to at least win a playoff series. It's hard to repeat, but that's a team, the great Dusty Baker. You think about what he's done. He's been in the World Series last 2 years. They lost to Atlanta, and then they came back last year and beat up Philadelphia. And you can believe that Dusty Baker is going to have that toothpick chewing on it again coming this postseason. I got number 7, and I think they'll slip, is the Arizona Diamondbacks. You look at Corbin Curls, his shoulder holds it together. People hope that it does, but I think Arizona, I think they're going to start slipping, if that makes sense to you. That's just my opinion. They've had kind of a meteoric rise, but everything comes to the end when you got a lot of heat down there and them their Diamondbacks territories. I got number 6 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. I got the stars shine bright when it's deep in the night, deep in the heart of Texas. Texas is something else. The Rangers, boy, they were mopping up the bits just a few years ago in that brand new $2 billion stadium, and now they're putting wood on the ball, if that makes sense to you. They've had a tough first half finish for the Rangers as they went 5-11 after June 23rd. They are fortunate, though. They bought themselves so much cushion after an excellent start. Any big homestand is now, can they carry down the back 9? They got 3 playoff caliber teams, the Guardians, the Rays, and the Dodgers, to start the second half of the season, the back 9. Can they do it? I'm not so sure. Not so fast, my friend. I got number 5 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. I got the Marlins. Isn't that something? When they lose to the Braves, which is no crime, and a lot of people do, they just keep winning. And for the unsustainable people who have arrived at the conclusion that they're looking at a run differential and nothing deeper, the Marlins are they are a minus 52 run differential in their last 43 games. But they keep winning. They just keep winning. But I don't see them doing much when it comes to the playoffs. That's just my opinion, and I'm going to stick with it. I got number 4 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. I'm going to put on the Rays. They lost 7 of 8 before the break and felt like they needed some rest, and they got some rest. And the Orioles are right on their heels. And the good news for the Rays, if they should have a soft landing for the second half, starting with 3 key games against the Kansas City Royals. So that's going to help them, if that makes sense to you. But I'm not going to look too much for them having a lot of success in the postseason. I got number 3 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. I got Mookie Betts, that good boy of the LA Dodgers, batting .365. I'm telling you, he has 8 doubles, 9 home runs. That means he's hitting deep. Right field, back to the wall, home run. As he say hello to my little friends. Around to Pleasure Green at Dodger Stadium. The great Mookie Betts, always one of the best players in baseball. That's my opinion, and I'm going to stick with it. That good boy had 19 RBIs, 18 runs in his last 15 games. Before the break. Ignore the home run derby performance. That good boy is doing his thing. And sometimes you want to see these guys play great when they're having exhibition games too. It's not always going to happen. But that good boy can play. And I like the Dodgers. I like the Dodgers in the way they're playing. I hope they champion for reparations. I'm gonna have a quiz at the end of the show, so make sure you pay attention. Number 2 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings, the Baltimore Orioles. They're 2 games out, but they are tied in the loss column. I'm gonna give them the nod for a few reasons. First, they are better than last month and have added some new young talent. Meanwhile, the Rays pitcher and the injuries are starting to really hinder them. If we want to look at head-to-head games, the Orioles win that battle 3 of 2. And then finally, I think they have that nostalgia of Camden Yards and the crowds that have been showing up that's going to push them down the road. I don't know how far they'll go in the playoffs, but it sure is good to see the good ones back. And now, number 1 in Big C's Major League Power Rankings. Drum roll, please. From Stone Mountain, Georgia. Taking that midnight train to Georgia. The great Gladys Knight told us about it. The Atlanta Braves. Do you remember the 21st night of September? Remember when the Rays were the easy and obvious number 1? And every single week, a lot of people said the Rays are going to get it done. But I look at the Atlanta Braves from Stone Mountain, Georgia, playing at Truist Park. They hit the All-Star break with a 4-game lead over the Rays for the best record in baseball. A 27-5 run to close the first half will do that for most teams. And when you look at the Atlanta Braves, they have the speed, they have the youth, they have the pitching, and more important than that, they have a place called Magic City. When I thought Magic City was a place to go, I was going to get my groove on. You know, I like roller coasters. I thought I'd go down to Magic City and get on some roller coasters and watch some of those boat races they have down there, down at Magic City. I thought I'd get on some of those rides. But when I went to Magic City, they had some scantily clad women. And they were shaking that money maker. They did the rump shaker. I said, where are the roller coasters? And shorty were hollering, where the ball is at? Well, I think they've gotten a chance to relax, and that's why they may be changing the name to the Magic City Braves. Give that some praise, because they're playing great baseball. Something about a lady that can relax a man, if that makes sense to you. Give relaxing a man some praise. I said give him some praise. What did Teddy Pendergrass say? He said, turn off the lights, ding, and light a candle. Dun, 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 dun. You see, I'm in a romantic mood. He said, turn off the lights, ding, and come to me. He said, you see there's something I want to do to you, baby. And I think that's what Magic City does for a lot of those athletes. They're playing stress-free. They're being stress-free, some praise. We should all have such struggles. Well, that's my story. And I stick with it. I told you I had a quiz. I had a quiz for tonight's show. I'm asking all the owners in NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, professional soccer, and also NHL to champion reparations. Tell the athletes they don't have to be afraid to talk about reparations. President Abraham Lincoln, he offered reparations, but before it could get done, he was assassinated, and President Andrew Johnson vetoed the bill, and they gave the land back to the Ku Klux Klan and the Southern Confederates. And that's not right. So I'm asking every professional sports team, I'm asking ABC, CBS, NBC, and ABC to start telling your broadcasters to talk about the most seminal thing in the history of the United States for Black Americans since the Emancipation Proclamation, and give it some praise. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's the right thing, and we all know people want to do the right thing. Well, that's my story. and I'm sticking with it. I hope you passed the quiz. I want to say back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, he said, you float like a butterfly and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. With all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali would say, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat because all the Big C burgers make me light on my feet. And that's why I float like a butterfly and I sting like a bee and I'm always rumbling. I'm rumbling. My beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. If you know anybody going through that garbage, getting beaten up, getting stolen from, getting robbed, call 911. Things change when the police show up. If you know anybody that's anti-reparations for descendants of chattel slavery, for all the beatings, all the torture, the lynchings, the whippings, the selling off of children, get on your knees and ask God for forgiveness. Because reparations now, reparations forever. And you know that's true. The clergy, I'm thanking the clergy for taking the tithe and broadcasting reparations. Because you have God's ear. Do the right thing. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. I'm telling you, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Mothers against drunk drivers are mad. And fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber. You can even call Lyft. You can sleep it off. You can walk it off. But don't drink and drive. The life you save may be your own. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, on every Big C Sports Show, I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day. Reparations now. Reparations forever. Honor the great President Abraham Lincoln when he said, reparations now. Reparations forever. Say it one more time. And say it like Teddy said, turn them off. When Teddy Pendergast said, turn them off. Say it like him. Reparations now. Reparations forever. Have a super fantastic day.